everybody, it's your girl Asia from the Rant Fangirl channel. Welcome back to my channel. I am back today with another Degrassi Next Class rant. I'm just racking up these Degrassi Next Class rants like rapid fire. As far as I'm concerned, like I told y'all, if there's something I see in Degrassi Next Class that points out to me, I will make a rant about it. And you know what I do? Sometimes I go on Reddit or TikTok or on Instagram and look at things that people like said about the Degrassi Next Class. And one of the things that came to my eye about the Degrassi Next Class that a lot of fans wish that it would have happened. People wish that Lola and Miles ended up together, and I'm a little two-sided on that. I don't agree, but I don't disagree. And I'm going to explain why I agree and why I don't disagree. But before I get into any of that, there is something about season 14, Degrassi, that is really fucking with me, and it's like irritating as fuck. I gotta talk about it. So, when I'm watching the Miles storyline with his father, why didn't nobody ever say the word abuse? Like, I can't believe that is just now sticking out to me after watching this show for God knows how long. No one ever said the word abuse. Like, no one ever said it. It's like the word was tainted. It's like Degrassi didn't want them to say the word abuse. But it's like it was abuse when Craig's father was beating him. It's the same thing. The only thing that's different, and I think this is why they never said the word abuse, is because Miles' father was more emotionally abusing than Craig's father was physically, right? But it fucked Craig up mentally. With Miles, his father was really like emotionally abusive. Miles' father fucked him up emotionally because he would gaslight him, manipulate him. Like, Miles' father was like basically a domestic abuser. Like, if Miles did something to piss him, I'm not even gonna say piss him off, because that still doesn't justify him putting his hands on his son. I ain't even gonna say that. Excuse me, because regardless of what anybody does in a relationship, or as it comes to a parent relationship with your child, regardless of what your child do, you do not have the right to beat them, hit them, none of that shit. It's not cool. If Miles said something that he did not agree with his father, or went on the news and called his father homophobic because of the comments he made about Miles being ridiculous, kissing some guy, he said it was ridiculous for Miles kissing a guy, basically saying it's ridiculous to be homophobic. That's pretty much what he said. Like, if Miles was homophobic, if Miles was a homosexual and not bisexual, imagine what his father would have said to him. It makes it even worse because in that moment, both Miles' parents should have been supportive of his sexuality. Whether he like boys, girls, doesn't matter. They should have been supportive. If anything, they're trying to sit at this table and try to tell him what he likes. It's like, how the fuck y'all gonna tell him what sex he likes? If he like girls, he like girls. He like guys, he like guys. If he like both, what is the problem? What's up? Like, that irritated me that they try to sit at that table and basically try to tell him what he can and can't like. So Miles went to the news reporter and basically told them that the last conversation he had with his dad is when he said that being gay is ridiculous. So what did his father do? His father tried to make himself look like a good guy. He wants to pretend like he wants to spend a whole day with Miles because he says sometimes he feels like he doesn't know him. And Miles said that's because they're always bickering. They don't have a good relationship because Miles' father wants Miles to pretend to be someone he's not. He treats his kids like puppets. He controls them. He wants them to act a certain way. And when they don't act accordingly, he lashes out on them, which is not cool. So he pretended like he wanted to spend a day with Miles. Him and Miles spend a whole day together. Miles actually feels like they're connecting. You can see this big ass smile on his face. You can tell in that episode, in that moment, that whole day meant a lot to Miles because it's like he was finally getting the father he actually wanted his whole life instead of getting this one he always bicker back and forth with. His father calls the press and pretend like he want to spend a whole day with him. Miles run off, go home. He on the game. Father come in, mad as fuck, lash it out, talking about he made a mockery of him in front of the press, talking about why is he overthinking the whole situation, talk about he wasn't trying to be a good guy. They came there since he running for mayor, they're kind of everywhere, the press. Miles said that you pretended like you wanted to hang out with me, get to know me, and have a father and son day, but you really just wanted to look good in front of the press. You manipulate everything. Miles said he was going to school where people actually care about him. The father grabbed him, and I'm talking about the father grabbed Miles and pushed him so hard against the wall. you can see the pain on Miles' face. So that was abuse to me. It didn't matter if he struck him or not. Grabbing your son some certain way and shoving up against the wall and all that type of shit, that's unnecessary. But I think because his father wasn't physically abusive and more emotionally abusive, the Grassy writers didn't want to say it was abuse. Like, the word was tainted. Like, whenever Miles would talk about his father, he never said the word abuse. Maya, when she would say his dad, like, when she was like, if Miles' father finds out he crashed the car, he's gonna hurt him. I'm thinking like, you mean abuse him? Say the word, cause that's what he's doing. The fuck? It's like the word was tainted. It's like no one ever said the word abuse, even though that is what it was. The father was emotionally abusive. Period. He fucked all his kids up emotionally because he treated them accordingly. He treated them like puppets when they acted the way that he wanted them to act, and when they did not act that way, he lashed out and treated them like they wasn't his children. Like in Firestarter Part 1 and Part 2, he basically wanted Frankie to take the fall for the Degrassi News, even though she wasn't behind it. It was Zoe bitch ass. So when she didn't do it, he got mad because she ran off and didn't want to take the fall for something she didn't do. Talking about she's going to ruin the whole campaign and yada, 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 yada. And, you know, Miles read his ass down and told him, you'd rather be a good mayor than a good father. And his father talked about, oh, you ungrateful. I give you kids the world. I give you kids everything. Yes, except for your love and your common decency. The fuck, you treat us like puppets. You're a fucking bully. You bully us. You treat us like puppets. You treat us like your props. We have to act perfect for you, and when we don't act that way and it gets into the news, or you get a call from the school that one of the Hollingsworth is acting up, you lash out on us. That shit is not cool. He tried to throw his coffee cup at Miles. Then he struck him, y'all. And they never ever said the word abuse to me. And then the conversation with his mother pissed me off. She talking about, was there an altercation? Did you get in his face? It's like, none of that matters whether or not him and him were arguing like that. He still struck his child. He thought this shit was cool to smack his son in the face. What the fuck is the mother talking about? I don't give a fuck how nobody feel. Miles' mother is one of the worst parents in Degrassi. She never, ever listened to any of her children. She never paid attention to none of her kids. Some of the shit that her kids got away with they have not gotten away with. There should be no reason that Miles in Degrassi Next Class was doing drugs under her roof and she did not know. And then when she first found out he was doing drugs and he told her where they were, why the fuck did she not send him to get some help? Instead, she let the shit slide. The shit with Hunter. How could she not see signs of depression from Hunter? How could she not see signs from depression from Frankie? Frankie wasn't herself. These are all signs she should have saw from all of her children. Instead, she wasn't paying attention. She was so focused trying to see when's the next time she can get dicked down by her husband. She wasn't paying attention to her children. She's one of the worst mothers in Degrassi. She does not listen. Her not listening to Miles, basically saying that whenever he comes around, I cannot breathe because this is how badly he done fucked him up. He gave Miles anxiety. That is why Miles is taking the drugs to calm his anxiety. So if they have dinner, he can, be high, laugh, and pretend like he's having a good time. So he doesn't have to focus on his father emotionally triggering him. But she didn't listen to Miles. She just was like, oh, you'll get over it. He's getting better, so it shouldn't matter anymore. No. For a whole year, mother, he abused me emotionally. You want me to just get over that because he went to some anger management classes and promised to get his act together? It doesn't change what the fuck he put me through, bitch. Like, his mother did not listen. Because she didn't listen to her child and didn't put her child first, she's the reason why he was doing drugs. Period. I don't give a fuck about what none of y'all say. Miles' mother is one of the worst mothers in Degrassi. She's one of the worst parents I've ever seen. For her to sit there in that room and try to basically tell Miles, oh, you're the reason why he struck you. You got in his face. There was an altercation. There was an argument and yada, yada, yada. And then for Hunter to say, yeah, because you always owe him for being a bad dad. Because he is. Where the fuck? Open your goddamn eyes. What the fuck is you saying that I'm not seeing? What the fuck? Forget it. Fuck y'all. Y'all don't want to be on my side. It is what it is. One of my favorite scenes in Degrassi is the conversation Miles had with his father. This is one of the most, one of the best scenes I've ever seen because Eric Osborne really could fucking act. And it's like when you watch Degrassi season 13 and 14, there are really scenes where they show how good of an actor he already was at the age of 16 when he got that role. There are scenes in Degrassi season 13 and 14 where he really does his thing. Like, and in next class, it just it just tops it. Like, Miles is one of the best characters in Degrassi, and I really like that he is flawed. But in Degrassi Next Class, he has some of the best character development. He is a very complex character. He kind of reminds me of Craig just a little bit. Just he's a rich boy, but he kind of reminds me of Craig just a tad bit, just a tad bit, just a tad bit. Cause I have to say, right after Craig, I have to say Miles was the next best done male character that was very well written with good character development. And then I would say Eli was too. And there are other male characters too, but I have to say they were like the top three I could really say that had the best character development when it came to male characters. And Drew. Drew would be number four because Drew had some good character development, but they derailed it in season 13 or 14. We ain't gonna get into any of that because you already know how the fuck I feel. I don't want to get started because then I won't stop. But the scene with Miles and his father was such a good scene. The father was basically trying to gaslight Miles, basically trying to say that it's his fault why Frankie and Hunter are so fucked up and da 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 d and da 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 do. I couldn't believe he tried to gaslight him like that. Like, dude, you're the reason I'm emotionally fucked up. You abuse me, you bully me. You only act nice to me when you need me to do something for you. When Miles raised his fist up and was about to look like he's gonna struck his father, but he didn't have it in him to do that, the father was like, yeah, that's what I thought. When the father said, what do you want me to say, that I'll try harder? You've been saying that and you haven't done it, right? Abuser 101. I'll try harder, it'll never happen again. It's abuser talk. Their father was an abuser. I'm over it. It really bothers me that Degrassi didn't allow them to say the word abuse. It's like, why are we tainting it? Because that's what it was. It was abuse. I'm over it. Let's get to what's really important. Just that's just that shit in the grass season 14 really bothers me that they never said the word abuse. Like, why are we not saying the word abuse? Because that's exactly what it was. Because it was emotional abuse, does it not count? Abuse is abuse, whether it's emotionally, mentally, physically. It's still abuse. You're still abusing someone. Period. I don't give a fuck what nobody say. Now, to the Miles and Lola conversation, I'm like two sides of a different coin when it comes to them. People feeling like they should have ended up together and should have ended up together. I feel like I agree to that and then I disagree. And I'm going to tell y'all why I agree and why I disagree. Why I agree, I feel like Miles' connection with Lola was probably the most real and rare, purest connection he'd ever had with any human being on the planet. I think him and Lola connected very deeply and had them deep conversations that I think he did not have with Maya or didn't have with Tristan. They did have chemistry. Out of all the relationships or situationships Miles has ever been in, that was by far the most chemistry he had with anyone. Because I don't see any chemistry between him and Tristan, and him and Maya didn't have it either. I will say with him and Maya, I saw it more when they weren't together when they were together, if that makes sense. Like season 14, when I watched their scenes, how good they are as friends, it's like, why can't we get that chemistry with y'all as a relationship? Could be because they both were immature, maybe that, maybe so. But I feel like they had more chemistry together when they weren't together than when they were in a relationship. With Lola and Miles, I liked their connection. I liked that it was real. I liked that it was rare. I liked that it was purist. I liked that they had them deep conversations. I liked that when he felt like he didn't have anyone, he couldn't go to anyone. I liked that he felt like he could talk to her because there was no judgment. And because she didn't judge him for his sexuality, for being bisexual and liking what he liked. I liked that for him because I think Miles is one of them characters that just feels like if he can't talk to you or if you're judgmental, he completely blocks out. And I always felt like that was one of the reasons that was always wrong with him and Tristan's relationship. I feel like Tristan was extremely judgy, and I feel like Tristan hated the fact that Miles was bisexual and not just gay. And I feel like Tristan always made fun of him being bisexual, and I hated that. Tristan is just a piece of shit. He's just really, really irritating as fuck. But I liked them Miles and Lola. I thought for what they were in that season, I was okay with it. I definitely agree that they had a chemistry. I definitely do. I do think had she if she was in his class, I wouldn't have been against them being in game. But she wasn't in their grade. I think she had to be like a junior. I'm thinking by season three, she definitely had to be a junior because there ain't no way in hell she was a fucking sophomore. Because in season 13 and 14, she was a freshman, and in season one and two, yes, for season one and two, she was a sophomore. So yeah, season three, she was a junior. She still had one more grade to go. But I don't think the writers really had any plans to make them in game. Cause I feel like if they did, I wouldn't have been against it. But I don't think they had any. I don't think they weren't going to do anything where they were going to make them in game. Cause they still were going to put him and Tristan back together no matter what. That is why I disagree with people saying, "Oh, they should have ended up together." Y'all not gonna like this, but I feel like Miles used Lola. It's a tad bit. I feel like he used her. And I say that because he had sex with her. He grew to have feelings for her while Tristan was in a coma. He took this girl virginity, and then the second he had sex with her, he completely ditched her. Got rid of her number, said he couldn't hang out with her, couldn't do nothing with her because they had sex. And it's like, damn, you have sex with this girl, take her virginity, and then after all of that, you just drop her like she wasn't shit. Miles used her. And not only that, I kind of feel like on some deep level, him and Lola's connection sometimes was a trauma bond. Because for the most part, when y'all think about their conversations, it was mainly about, it was mainly about what his dad did or how her mother leaving kind of like emotionally left a scar on her to where she is afraid of abandonment. Doesn't really allowed to let anybody in for real. And I feel like that was like, I feel like sometimes they were connecting through trauma, just a tap, like trauma bonding just a little bit. That's just sometimes how I feel. I feel like if the situation was different with Miles and Lola, had he not had sex with her while Tristan was in a coma, I would have been okay with them being a couple, whatever the fuck it is. But the idea of the idea of him using her for sex or using her to cope with Tristan being in a coma, it would never ever sit well with me because I definitely feel like he used her. That's how I look at it when I watch season three. It's like, damn, you grew to like this girl, then you just totally uses her for sex, and then you said you can't have nothing to do with her. The fuck? How can you say you like this person if you're willing to drop them after y'all just had some of the most soul tying, intimate shit ever on the planet? Because that's what sex is. Sex is soul tying. Y'all are connecting souls. Y'all are making love. There's, I don't care. When you're having sex with someone, whether it's meaningless, whatever fuck it is, you're soul tying because when you have sex with someone, it makes them keep coming back, right? So that's because they're connected to your soul. I just think that shit was wrong. Like, I just didn't like that he used her for sex. That's how I look at it. And not only that, he gets her pregnant. She never tells Miles that she was pregnant. Even though there was plenty of times she tried to, but he kind of like told her, man, you can't hang out anymore. I told you that. He kept you like, no, ditching her, not trying to listen to her when she was trying to tell him she was pregnant. She just went ahead and got an abortion. I think had she told him that she was pregnant, I think she probably would have kept the baby. But because he didn't listen to her, and because she never got a chance to tell him and he didn't want to listen, I think she just went ahead and got an abortion. Like, you know what? I'm not ready to bring a child in his life. I'm not ready. And the baby father doesn't care enough to know what's going on with me. So what's up? So I'm not saying she did it out of revenge, but sometimes when I watch season, I sometimes feel like, oh, she did it to get his attention because, he basically said fuck her once she basically said fuck her once they had sex. And it always cracked me up whenever Frankie and Shay, asked her who she lost her virginity to and she said Miles. Them hoes laughed like she was just playing. Like, no, she really lost her virginity to Miles. That shit always cracked me up. Like, why did they think that she was telling, like, she was joking? Like, I would never forget that moment when they said, okay, you won't even tell us who you lost your virginity to. It was Miles. And these bitches just started cracking up. I'm thinking, like, okay, they think she just capping, but she really did lose her shit to Miles. I thought that shit was funny. Um, Yeah, I feel like had the situation been different between Miles and Lola, I wouldn't have been against them being a couple. But because he used her to cope with Tristan being in a coma, it just don't sit well to me. So I'm gonna say no. I'm only saying yes if the situation was different. Like, let's say the bus crash didn't happen, and him and Tristan was in the most rockiest state in their relationship, and they were just getting distant, and Miles was growing a connection with Lola. And then I don't condone cheating, but let's just say that's how it happened, right? She cheated on Tristan with Lola. Had they became a relationship after that, I'd have been cool with them being in game. I would have been cool with that because at least I could say it was a real connection between them. And I didn't really want Miles and Tristan to be in game, and I know a lot of people say it was kind of fucked up that they weren't. Me, honestly, I was not all that like, oh my god, I didn't make them in game. I really didn't care. Because I didn't like the relationship. And I always said if they wanted Miles to have a real connection with someone who was bi, they could have did it properly. I told my sister how I would have done it. I would have made someone who was just like Miles, a rich boy, like just moved into. It could have been like, it could did something where he had friends from his old town, rich boy, right, just like him. Could have been a boy from a private school that moved here to Canada, that's now going to Degrassi. Him and Miles are tight again. They connected again like they did in boarding school. You could have did something where they were hanging out one night, and his friend bring up like you could have had Miles' friend from boarding school ask Miles, has he ever hooked up with a guy? Miles could probably be like, no, and his friend could be like, would you ever consider it? And Miles was like, I don't know. You can make him say he don't discriminate, and you can have the friend kiss Miles, and you can have him and Miles kiss, have sex, whatever it is, and up there you could do whatever you want to do. You could make Miles and him feel like they can't come out to their parents being bisexual because they're very rich and very judgy, and they're going to tell them what they can and can't do with their lives. I feel like that I could accept it because him and Miles and this boy can already have chemistry due to them already being friends for boarding school. I did not like the idea of Miles being with Tristan just so Tristan could say, oh, I found love, I finally got a boyfriend. That's because that's what it gave. So, I don't know. That's how I would have done it with Miles if they wanted him to be bisexual. I would have had him have a real connection with someone. I just didn't want him to be with Tristan. Tristan's one of the worst characters in Degrassi. I just didn't like him at all. So that's my take on this whole Miles and Lola situation. I don't think they should have been in game. The only way I would agree with them being in game if the situation was different. That's it. That's the last time I'm gonna say it. Catch you on my next video.